Hi there, welcome back to my channel, Pompachon's Lily. Today's video is a time-lapse of a painting I did of Lynn Creek in North Vancouver. I went for a walk there and I found this really gorgeous area with this really rocky kind of scene with these beautiful trees, and so I thought I'd paint it. I did a plein air sketch while I was there and I wasn't super happy with how I had painted the water or the rocks, so if you can kind of see in the video where my hand just was, I did a little test of some rocks, and I'm still not super happy with the way I've done the rocks in this painting, but you'll see in the finished product. I mean, I don't dislike them, but I think, I don't know, I'm still trying to work on it. I'm not really going for a realistic kind of look, but I think, I don't know, I still want to work on it a little bit more. And also my water, I just feel like, I don't know, I haven't got the reflections exactly how I want them, but anyway, so right now I'm just sketching in the image, and yeah, it was this really gorgeous, this creek. I've been there a few times, and it's just got these gorgeous rocks all around, and I just sat up on, there was this rock that was honestly kind of like a bench. It wasn't carved out to be one, I don't think, but it was just kind of a perfect spot for me to sit and paint stuff, and someone's dog came up and sat next to me. It was really sweet. Anyway, yeah, so I'm just sketching away. I'm not really putting too much, I'm not going exactly for the photo. I'm trying to be reasonably true to the photo, but also, I mean, rocks, you don't really need to be very with landscapes in general, you don't really need to be very accurate, because it's not like it's a person. No one's going to really notice if you draw a rock wrong. So now I'm just sketching in the background a little bit, keeping it reasonably simple, just doing the trees and the shoreline. I don't really need too much detail back there because it's further away, but I do want just some hints of stuff to help me when I paint. And the paint I'm using is Core Watercolours by Golden. The set I have is the Portrait set by Ali Kavanagh, I think is the name, and there's no ultramarine blue in it, so I'm using Winsor & Newton blue, but every other colour is from the Core set. And so I'm just doing ultramarine blue for the little bit of sky you can see in the background. There's not too much in the background, but it is reflected in the water quite a bit, so I just want to have that in the water. And yeah, most of the highlights in the water are the ultramarine blue. And now I'm doing a little bit darker green again on the water to create some more darker shadows on the water. The water's pretty green, and I wanted to keep the blue kind of highlights, but I didn't really get, I don't know, didn't really get it how I wanted to exactly. You'll see. So now I'm mixing up some Perylene Crimson, I believe, and some Phthalo, no, what's the word? Payne's Grey, that's it, Payne's Grey, to make like some shadows for in between the rocks here, and I'm doing it on dry paper because I really want like sharp edges for the rocks and it to be kind of a lot more focused and detailed because it's closer. So yeah, I'm just using like a round brush to get some like fine lines in between the rocks, and then I'm going to switch to a flat brush for the more like main colour of the rocks. Again, pretty reasonably dry paint too, like I mean it's watercolour but not super washy because I want it to kind of create a bit of that texture. So you can see I've just put that colour like mostly all over the rocks, but I'm leaving quite a bit of white to create the highlights and stuff, and also again have a bit of texture. And now I'm going to paint the tree that's here, mixing, I think I used the same colour that I used for the rocks, just added a little bit of green to make it a little bit more brown than the kind of grey tone that the rocks are. And then I think I'm going to add a little bit more shadows and details to the background. Some tree branches that are back there. Again, still not having too much detail back there. And now I'm adding another layer to the water. There's like quite a bit of darker points in there, so I'm using that green. I think I'm using the same mixture I used for the trees and just added a bit of the sap green and the Payne's Grey and possibly a bit of ultramarine blue, I think, yeah, to create some shadows in the water and then also add to the background. I think if I should use a little bit more blue for the background, it would have pushed it back a little bit further, but I don't know, I'm not unhappy with it. And then I'm going to darken up the trees to create more shadows on them. They look pretty dark, like the light is coming from the right side, and I wanted to create like the shadows that there was like leaves that were casting a really pretty shadow on the trees, but I think I added it a little too soon after I did that first wash on the trees, and the shadows kind of feathered out a little bit, but it's not too noticeable and I still think it looks pretty. And now I'm using just straight Payne's Grey to add some more shadows to the rocks. There were some rocks that were kind of to the right that were a lot more in shadow, and there was kind of a tree there. I didn't really add too much of that tree. I did a few little leaves, but there was a tree there. I'm just doing a little bit more ultramarine in the water to create a little bit more, to soften it a little bit more. There was no really pure white highlights there, but it's not as ripply as I would have liked. I think I made it a little too dark in the middle there, but it's right. And then I'm just adding some moss to the rocks, and I think that's pretty much it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any tips on how to paint rocks and water a little bit better, I would love to hear them. Otherwise, if you enjoyed it, leave a like and maybe subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.